Thinkorswim tutorial: How to change chart types and time frames, step by step. As you see, I have the paper money version of Thinkorswim desktop open here to the monitor tab with the subcategory of the activity and positions. So let's go over to charts, the chart tab. Usually by default, Thinkorswim is going to open up to your charts subtab versus the flexible grid subtab. So be under the charts. Obviously, I have some things set up here, so we're going to use this example here of this empty one. So when you first open your Thinkorswim charts, it should look like this. Let's pick a symbol. Which symbol do you want to look at? Oh, you want to look at CalMaine? Okay. All right, CalMaine Foods. So here's our default way that Thinkorswim is set up with 1 year. So 1 year from left to right. 1 day, meaning it's called an aggregation period. You can see that right here, aggregation period, day. Time interval, 1 year. So left to right, 1 year. Each candle is representing 1 day. You can change the candle style under style here. You can go down to candles. You can switch to bar style. You can switch to the popular Heikin-Ashi, or you can stay with the most popular. There's also obviously line area, the equivolume, or you can stay with the most popular, the Japanese candlestick. If you wanted to have your daily chart with more time, you go under time interval. You could go down to how many ever years of data that you want to look at. So let's, 3 months, 3 years. So for now, let's just keep it on 1 year. Since we're here, intraday, if you want to see what's happening on a smaller time frame, like a 5 minute, I've always felt that it's easier just to pull down here versus moving this thing. 15 minutes, you can do today, week to date, 1 day. Let's look at what it looks like for a 15-minute chart with just today. So right now it's showing the extended hours here, and we see today, the 1 day of trading here, and each candle representing 15 minutes. What would it look like if we do 1 day? Now it's going to actually show 2 days. This is, if you look up right here, this is the 24th. You can see the date down here. Today's the 25th, but it's showing you the 24th. A little bit of the extended hours here, trades through the 24th, extended hours here, trades through the 25th. Now we're in extended hours. For most beginners, it would probably be easiest just to keep it on like 1 day, 1 year, or 6 months, something where it might be easiest to learn by looking at daily or weekly candles. So a weekly candle is going to be usually 5 trading days inside of this 1 week. Now, obviously, if there's a holiday or something, but the 1 week of trading right in here. It'll show you kind of bigger trends. So 3 years of information right here. So that's how you can change your candles under style. So now let's make some different type of changes. Like for example, the crosshair. If you come down here in the lower this right here, you can have none. You can do just the horizontal, which comes in really handy if I'm looking at what's this range in here that prices start getting, they're kind of trading this range back and forth. We got a nice fluid movement up here, a little bit of a pullback, nice fluid movement, but when it gets into here, sort of this range. And sometimes it's just handy to pull that out. You can also go the vertical, looking for dates, and then of course you have the crosshair. I like to leave it like this until I'm ready to pull something out. Now we have our volume. It is by default, it pulls up like this. So let's change this to 1 year, 1 day. And the volume under this chart settings here, if you go over to appearance, you can select this, colors, tick symbols, and now you can see that the volume bars have been colored in correlation with whatever the candle is. Now notice this one here, this is like a grayish white color, so is the candle. So when it's a doji, this is indicating that doji, meaning prices open and close in the same spot, and it will be color coded with this white gray, and that'll show up right there's one right there on the volume. See these red lines here? These are showing option expiration dates. And if we want to take those off, we click the chart settings, come over here to time axis, deselect show expiration Friday. Also, see these showing these different corporate events. If you want to take those off, you would go under equities, show corporate actions, deselect. Also, if for some reason you don't want the volume showing, you take that, deselect that. Indicators, you can easily add and subtract indicators right here. Search something, let's say you wanted to put on the average volume. Something to be aware of with Thinkorswim, sometimes the indicators might be listed under Thinkorswim in a little different wording than what you normally call it. Like here they have it listed as volume average. I've always called it the average volume. So if we look up average volume, it's not gonna pull up. So we find the indicator we want to put on there, highlight it, add selected, apply. And something that's nice that Thinkorswim lets you do is if you want to remove it and you want to sometimes have it, you can leave it here and just press this, deselect this. And so now it's removed from our chart, but it's still here. So we can pop it back on whenever we want. So that's a quick way to set up a chart. We can do the same thing here. You can, under the subcategory, under the chart tab, in the subcategory of charts, you can set up a lot of different ones. Now notice these, I have this red one here. What we do is find this little link on this drop down, and there's these different colors and numbers coordinated with it. If I change this to red, there's a good chance Cal-Maine is going to disappear and get propagated with whatever I had in there before, which happens to be crude oil. Now there's other places you can link your charts up to. Let's go back to a stock. We'll go back to Cal-Maine. The Analyze tab, Cal-Maine, because I have it linked here. The Trade tab, I have it linked there. The Analyze tab under Earnings, let's see, it shows earnings here, shows the next earnings here, the past earnings over there. Also, I have it linked up here with fundamental data and the risk profile. That is a basic way to set up your charts here. But what about this one? Flexible grid. Normally when you come to the flexible grid, I think it's going to show one. Get rid of that. Okay, so what I just did is I click this to customize grid. This is going to delete whichever chart you're on. This adds one to the right, and this adds one to the bottom. Let's delete them all. Okay, we can't delete, it has to have just one. So normally we'd be starting blank. Get rid of this here. I think that is, there we go, sidebar. So by default, the sidebar normally shows up if you want to get rid of it here. If you click on any of these, then like this, and then you close this, in order to get rid of this trade tab there, you gotta bring it up like that. All right, so let's start with this, edit studies. So just gonna get rid of all this stuff. I could do this, right? Everything will disappear. Or if you just want to get rid of, you want to totally take the studies off, exit out of here. So now we've got one chart. And let's say we want to set up something that looks kind of like this, where we're looking at more information. Like I have this set up because it's monitoring all the future indices, monitoring the future VIX, crude oil, Bitcoin futures, silver futures, gold futures, and the Dixie, which is the dollar. So you can do something like that by clicking, well, we already have the customize grid right here. So it pops up there. We can add, now we added one there at the bottom. Just for time's sake, let's keep it at 4. I like having the sidebar off. You can leave the sidebar on if you want. Now, if we deselect this, now anything that I change this to, Coca-Cola, you'll see that Cal-Maine still remains there. And if I change this to that, then this one remains the same. So I could link all these with yellow. And they would all, if I wanted just to have this flexible grid showing maybe different time frames, this could be a 15-minute, maybe you've got like a 1 day, 1 hour, 15, 5 minute. Or you could have all the same time frame, 1 day, 3 months, whatever you want, and then looking at watching 4 different stocks. But let's go through this and clean this up and just change it to let's set this up to monitor just some like the big indices. So this one we're going to be looking at SPY, SPX. Actually, I'm more familiar with the futures, so we'll go ES, NQ, YM for the Dow Jones future, and RTY. So now with from one flexible grid, we're able to monitor the 4 major indices almost 24/5 because the futures are trading about 23, 20, 22 hours a day, something like that, Sunday through Friday. So now this one is already taken off. Okay, we don't have any sidebars on there. Let's take off that customized grid. I want to get that out of there. I just prefer not to have the crosshair on there when I'm just zooming around. I'm going to take the volume off. So I'll go through here under under equities, remove sub volume, and remove it on there. And these are futures, so I'm going to remove it there. I don't need to see open interest. I do want to keep the extended hours on futures myself. Now see these red lines? Or sorry, the red lines are showing option expiration date. These green lines are showing the contract change dates of the futures. If you know what that is, you don't know what that is, this is not the video to really explain it. But if you just don't want that green thing to be on here, then under here, under chart settings, which we found right here, under the futures tab, down here at the bottom, show contract change events, take that off. Oh, we gotta go, let's take off back here to time access, show expiration Friday, take that off. So that's looking a lot cleaner. And let's do the same thing down here. So back to chart settings, volumes. If you never trade Forex, you don't really have to worry about it. But I just like to take them all off because I just don't know when I might be doing something. So take them all off. All right, so under time access, I'm going to take off the show expiration Friday. Make sure show contract change events, deselect that. And did I remember everything? Looks pretty good. Let's do the same thing over here. So we're going to chart settings, take off these. Oh, futures, let's take off those. Show contract change, equities. If for some reason you're only going to have the futures on here, then this really doesn't matter. But if you're going to kind of interchange and you're going to sometimes put like actual equities in here, you might want to take off the show extended hours. You may or may not want to leave on show corporate actions. But regardless, let's take off the show option, show expiration Friday. Take that off there. So then our last thing that we would want to do, if we're happy with this, which we got all different time frames going on here. This is 1 day, 15 minute. This is 1 day, or 1 year, 1 day. And if we're using this as like just to kind of monitor the stock market, maybe 1 day, 15 minute, maybe that would be good. But let's figure out some consistency here. So let's go over the time frame, move it to daily. Let's look at how does 3 months look. Okay, 3 months, not too bad. These, if we started adding a lot more windows like this, then 3 months would probably get really squished in here, and it'd be significantly more difficult to see. Whereas, which is why I have this set up with 1 month. So it's the same thing, like ES, NQ, YM, RTY, but I also have the features of the VIX, crude oil, Bitcoin, silver, gold, and the Dixie for the dollar. But with this, we can see 3 months, and it's pretty clear. Let's take off the. So a lot of this is like driving a car, and you need to get from, you're using a car to get from point A to point B, but maybe how you like your seat adjusted, how you like the steering wheel, maybe that changes from person to person. Also, if you notice, these candles here are solid, whereas these here, these ones are solid, these ones are not solid. So we can change however we want that to be. We would click under chart settings again, appearance, fill up, however you want it to be. You can change the color of the doji here, have it not show wicks. There's a variety of things you can do. So just for this, let's take them off. I'm going to change this to 3 months. Change our, over here on appearance, we'll have these be open. And same thing over here. And we can change our time frame right here by clicking on that D. Change this to 3 months. We can also change the time frame under chart settings, time access. Instead of 1 year, we're going to do 3 months. And then our last thing, if we're happy with the way this is set up, the last thing that we want to do is click that, go down to Save Grid As, and save it some name that you're going to remember. And now, there it is. So this is one I put together to monitor a variety of stocks. You can see it's 3 months, but look at how kind of small that is, hard to read. So now I can zoom in like this. This is a 9-day EMA and a 20-day SMA. Another thing you can do is just left click on the chart and move it over that way, and it'll zoom in. See this red line here? That was made with this drawing tool. Click the drawing tool, go to this trend line. Needs to be on that chart. Click right, left click, drag it however you want. Let's say we want to see what the kind of show our top here, but do we really need it all the way over here? Well, we can edit it by right click, hover over it, right click, edit properties. Okay, it's maybe I want it to be a little higher. Let's say a little higher of 185. Change it down here to 185 because it's basically putting the different ends somewhere. And also we can change the date here. So today is the 25th. Let me extend this out to the 27th and start it on the 23rd. We can change the color here. We can change the width here. We can change the style here. And go all the way to the left or the right. Now I have it right there. If I want it to be a little bit longer, then I could come back and re-edit properties and bring it back to, let's say, let's try the 18th. Okay, that looks good over those candles. Now I like to remember to come down here and rechange back to my pointer. There's also a way to click this and then just move it around. So that is, generally speaking, how you can set up some set up some charts. Have a great day.